ค่ะสวัสดีค่ะ everyone
สวัสดีครับท่านอาจารย์สวัสดีครับ
Sawadika, everyone. Xin chào.
Chào Sarah. Dạ con xin hỏi cả nhà, hôm nay cả nhà mình có ai có đăng ký đặt câu hỏi nào cho pháp đàm bắt đầu không ạ? Bữa trước thì như là 09 cũng có một câu nào đó, 09 đó là để sẽ hỏi trong pháp đàm tiếng Anh đúng không? Dạ. Okay. Cả nhà mình có ai có câu hỏi muốn đặt câu hỏi cho pháp đàm không ạ? So friends have not yet asked any question, but some days ago in the Vietnamese discussion, there was a topic on the development of samatha. And someone asked a question on whether, the way that the realities are known in samatha, like vitakka, vichara, the five jhana factors are known in samatha. How is it different to the way that they are known in vipassana? So I think that could be a start of the discussion today. Dạ vâng, vì chưa có ai đặt câu hỏi nên là con cũng lấy lại cái ý hôm trước bạn An Lê có đưa ra trong một buổi pháp đàm liên quan đến cái cách mà các cái thực tại như là tầm tứ, phỉ lạc và nhất tâm được biết trong sự phát triển samatha và trong vipassana thì khác nhau như thế nào.
I think we have to ask if anything is understood about Vitakka now, because otherwise it's just an intellectual exercise. So what is the characteristic? What is the function of Vitakka now? We know that Vitakka arises with every chitta except for seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, and touching in a day. And without Vitakka, the chitta cannot experience the object. Even in the sense door processes, Vitakka has to touch the object in order for the chittas, the seeing, the hearing, the other sense door chittas to experience the object. So it's a very common reality, but unknown because it doesn't appear now. So we have to consider more about what is Vitakka and how it is understood. We know now that all dhammas are anatta. So Vitakka arises by conditions, touches the object and falls away. And it's exactly the same in the development of samatha bhavana. Vitakka is a reality which is anatta, which arises, touches the object and falls away. But without having heard the Buddha's teachings, even if the reality appears, it's not understood as just a Dhamma, as anatta. It's still the idea that I see, I hear, I think, and so on. But from the very beginning, there still has to be understanding of the nature of seeing or hearing, understanding of the danger of akusala arising, like now, so quickly after seeing or hearing, attachment is there instantly. So whether we're talking about samatha or vipassana, there has to be understanding from the beginning. Otherwise, we just say, well, what is the vitakka that is known and so on. But what about now? Is anything known about vitakka now?
And I suppose it's somewhat similar to how dhammas such as, or realities such as attachment can be known now, and how they are known in the development of vipassana. So there can be the understanding of moments that are kusala and akusala now, and that's a sort of knowing, but quite different from the knowing of the true nature of something. But I don't have anything to add apart from that.
Thank you, John and Sarah. By the way, so we know that the panya in the development of samatha has to know the danger of akusala and knows the difference between moment of kusala and moment of akusala. And this, I suppose, had to not be just the idea of kusala or akusala, but it had to be the characteristic as well, right? But it's not the anicca, dukkha, anatta like Sarah said earlier.
Like now, thinking about vitakka and how vitakka would be experienced if samatha was developed. Is it kusala or akusala thinking? Is it just I wanting to know what highly developed vitakka and samatha would be like? Or is there any understanding of the Dhamma now? So without understanding now what is kusala, what is akusala, then one just keeps focusing on an object or dreaming about what it would be like to have highly developed samatha or vipassana jnana, but no understanding of all the clinging involved, trying to experience, trying to work it out, trying to know. So that's why no matter what the topic is, it has to come back to understanding now, understanding what appears now, and understanding the reality now, the clinging now. It's just a Dhamma, not my clinging. But without the understanding, one's just lost in speculation and stories about knowing the vitakka that appears and the distinction between vitakka and vichara and so on. But perhaps Ajahn would like to add more on these topics.
Is there anything understood now as it is?
No, Ajahn.
Can that which is now appearing be known as it
It can,
is? When?
by sufficient conditions only.
And how come to have such moment?
By developing understanding from intellectual understanding, become very firm.
And is it now enough?
Not enough.
What shall we do?
Nothing can be done except if there is the interest to listen more, then there are more conditions for hearing and more considering, and that's the way it is.
That's right. Now we are learning to understand the truth of what is there. Just one reality at a time in order to understand that even that is not permanent at all. Just live in the moment, not permanent, from moment to moment, without any understanding. While there can be moment of understanding, little by little, develop to be accustomed to understand the nature of that which is there all day, all night, anytime. Otherwise, that cannot be known at all. Just we talk about what is there now arises and falls away. No understanding of anyone, but there are so many different realities in a day as it taken for someone or something in one's life, all one's life. So just live without any understanding or begin to understand what is there little by little, only that which is now appearing. Otherwise, it's just thinking about that which is not there to be known. But now, what is there to be known? Learn to understand one by one. For example, there must be that which is there taken as rose or picture or bed or shoes. See? While there's nothing as we thought at all, only that which is seen. That's why keep on the truth, that which is seen, in order to be reminded what is there all day is that which is seen. From moment to moment, build up the idea of something there by shape and form, because not just one moment only, there must be other moment, other moment, other moment, different moments, until it's not known as that which is there is not there anymore. So just live in the world of beginning to understand the truth. In life, any time, any moment, not select to understand this, to let go that, and on, because that is no understanding at all about the truth. And we talk about or think about letting go, wrong understanding and ignorance, but what about now? See, someone doubts about whether there is the idea of self right now. Not in words at all, but it's there so very deeply, so subtle in each moment that is there. Because we talk about chittas and cetasikas, rupas, so many realities, but not one known as it is. But there must be the way to realize it, to understand it from moment to moment, a little more, to be tired or understanding that it's just the world of that which is conditioned to arise and then fall away instantly. See, restlessly, from moment to moment, non-stop, right now, and now, and now, and now, and now. All now, when there's no understanding of the truth. So beginning to understand what is there as it is, not as I. Even at that moment, I study, I begin to understand, all I are still there, but less and less at moment of understanding, just the truth about it, while it can be realized, but not at once now yet. But there must be the way to begin to develop with patience, courage, truthful, being truthful to the truth. Right now, we used to say no I, no one, no thing at all. But what is it? If it's not reminded, it's not be reminded, no thought about it at all. So just talk about it, discuss the truth of it, the condition for whatever arises, to let go gradually, so very gradually. Wrong understanding, thinking that it's permanent, it's still there from day to day. In truth, nothing is there at all. The truth is quite opposite to what appears now. So just learn to understand the truth of what is there now, on and on and on, until understanding is so firm that it can understand directly that which appears now as it is, one by one, little by little, further and further, deeper and deeper, and more subtle, a little bit at a time. Otherwise, there's no other way. Just think around about this and that. Keep on thinking on and on and on. But what about the characteristic of that which is there? No, how can it be known? Why, it can only be known when it's there. When it's there, no matter we talk about, Vitakka, see, who knows? Vichara, Phassa, Manasikara, and so on, all are not known as long as one of them appear, one by one. One moment of touching it, not as many moments, begin to understand it, the characteristic of that which appears as it is. It's not just talk about and no way to experience it. And what can be experienced must be unexpectedly. That's why even moment of thinking about it, I'm thinking, and I wish or want that only to be object of understanding. See, it's not letting go, clinging even to the story of that which is now appearing. So study Dhamma has to be study the characteristic of that which is now appearing. Not just keep on talking, it's Dhamma or it's Rupa, but the reality which has no shape, no form at all. It's there now, sees. If it does not arise, it does not see, and as soon as it sees, it falls away, one by one at a time. Just keep on remembering the truth in a day, to be conditioned not to forget, not to think about what we have accumulated, to think about like people and things and story all the time. Gradually develop at moment of talking, discussing, reading, considering what is there as it is. Is this the teaching of the enlightened one? The way to understand directly what is there, as he had experienced and realized the truth, the ultimate truth. So what we are talking about now or in the future or any time is that which hasn't been realized yet. But the condition to realize is beginning to not forget the truth of what is there, gradually, little by little, by conditions. And the moment of no wrong understanding as itself, the moment of experiencing the nature of that which is there so unexpectedly. No one can select what is there hasn't been there before because it hasn't arisen yet. But when time comes, no matter what, depending on conditions only, to experience that, because there is the foundation, firm foundation of understanding the truth of it. So whatever appears can be understood. Buddha taught for 45 years about what is there now. Now is every now. By conditions. Does now Vitaka appear? Does now Sanya appear? The same level of understanding. Developing is the meaning of bhavana, little by little. Is there Vitaka now? The answer is, it's there, but not directly experienced yet. It's not there. See, the other reality is there, but not directly experienced yet.
And I think, as we discussed yesterday in a discussion, when one just would like to experience a particular reality, it actually hinders the development of understanding, because one's just focused on finding out the story about a reality, and there can be the subtle clinging to I, trying to understand it. But what about what appears now? What about the seeing now? What about the hardness now? What about the unpleasant feeling now? So it can be a real trap, just following the story, trying to understand a reality that doesn't appear, instead of just understanding what life is right now, what appears now. Thinking about what it would be like if one had development of understanding and calm, and how one would experience Vitakka, or if one had more wisdom and it was Vipassana Jnana now, what would be known? It's all distracts from just understanding what is now, what can be known now.
Yes, thank you, Ajahn. And in the same discussion, a friend was mentioning about the recollections of the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. And people usually practice that kind of samatana, and the way they do it is to, for example, take the different names of the Buddha, different virtues of the Buddha, like Arahat, and different, the 10 guna of the Buddha, for example. What is your comment on this? What is the real recollections of the virtues of the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha?
I think that if there is no understanding of what Dhamma is now, Dhamma as a reality that experiences or is experienced, that is anatta now, if there's no deep considering about the truth of Dhammas, really nothing can be understood about the virtues of the Buddha. One just recites the different terms, the different words, but it's all about someone, because actually, in truth, no one here, no one there, no Buddha that was, just different dhammas, different qualities. But how can there be reflection on the great wisdom, for example, if there is no understanding at all of dhammas. So that's why really only the Sotapanna really can take refuge in these qualities, because no more wrong understanding at all. But as understanding develops, there can be more and more appreciation of the qualities that you referred to, and more appreciation of what are dhammas, and more appreciation of the qualities of those who were enlightened to the truths and preserved the teachings. But it all comes back to understanding now. If there is more understanding developed now, then it naturally follows. Naturally, there is appreciation and understanding more and more of the triple gem, but not by trying, and not by reciting, and not by wishing to have such a reflection, because that's just more and more clinging, trying to be calm, trying to have good reflections, not understanding anything about the truth of Dhamma right now. So for those who hadn't developed understanding of the Dhamma as taught by the Buddha, there couldn't be those reflections as objects of calmness at all, because nothing could be understood about Buddha, Dhamma, or Sangha.
And I think if one is seriously interested in the Dhamma and undertaking the study of the Dhamma, there will be moments in a day when there is some reflection on the Buddha, the Dhamma, or the Sangha. There's bound to be some appreciation and some understanding, or some notion of the level of understanding of the person who taught the teaching. But I think the problem is when these things are taken as a practice to be done by someone who may be developing understanding, but that development is not such that the qualities of the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha are readily apparent or readily come to mind. So as long as so there's no way of undertaking that practice that can be mentioned, because it has to happen organically as the understanding grows, that it gets to a point where it can arise more often, more frequently. But to start out and selecting that as a practice to be done is a wrong appreciation of what it's all about. So won't lead to any development of kusala whatsoever.
Thank you, John and Sarah. Very helpful reflection. Probably Ajahn would like to add more comments.
So now, learn to understand about the truth of what is there, little by little. The virtues of the Buddha, his word is about the truth of that which is now appearing. Who knows that actually it's just a moment of a reality conditioned to arise, to experience the object, and then fall away. Begin to see the amazing, how amazing it is. The miracle of the teachings is so true. Seeing is just a moment, and as it is a moment of seeing, it can be realized when there is attention to the seeing, just seeing itself, and there is a little more understanding about the nature of that which experiences the object, which usually it's taken for someone, something I remember, I like, or I and something. But in truth, who knows? It's not anything at all. It's just a conditioned reality, a moment of experiencing by that which is conditioned to arise to see, to arise to hear, to arise to think, to arise to like. See, so amazing. And the teaching is so true because they are all realities, different ones by different conditions. So learn to understand what is there in life, the whole life. Otherwise, what can be known? Nothing can be known from birth to death if there's no hearing, considering about what is there from moment to moment right now. So now, even we don't say it's a moment of seeing, but seeing is there. But the truth, no one knows. What is it? It is just a moment of I see because no understanding that if seeing does not arise, where's the I? And as soon as seeing has fallen away, where's the I see? Condition this to have confidence of the truth of the Satya Dhamma and understand what is meant by Satya Dhamma because it's not people and things, but it's the moment of experiencing an object one moment and taking for something another moment, like it another moment. That's why life is just that which is conditioned to arise and falls away. And gone each moment unknowingly. Ignorance is more and more accumulated with all kinds of akusala, like attachment, aversion, and on and on. Is this not true? It's so true because of the virtues of the Buddha. So paying respect to the Buddha is not just pay respect by different manners, but at moment of understanding his great virtues of understanding the truth, which is covered up because the rapidity of each moment in split moment, see? That's why learn to understand how can there be such understanding out of ignorance and attachment, which are so enormous from life to life, years to years. But there can be a little more understanding. But it's not yet realized as Ariya Satya-Dhamma because the understanding is so very little. But the more hearing, considering, it conditions the more thinking, considering about the truth of any moment which hasn't been thought about before at all because of no conditions for its arising to have more confidence of the truth. Just hear the truth and accept that it's true. That's not enough at all. It's true, but what is it? See, not I think that it's true. Each reality is there by different conditions. That's why it's so very, very subtle. The more understanding of the truth, the more subtle that reality can be reached or attained closer and closer to realize the moment when it's there. From nothing to be something, pop up and then gone. Imagine the moment of realization taught by the Buddha, different levels. The first level is intellectual understanding, firm confidence of the truth, never change. Life is just that, no I, not anyone or anything. So learn more about each moment. What is there can show up little by little to right understanding only. Not just expect to have understanding of vitaka or vichara and so on. That's the hinder. It covers up what is there is not known, but try to know vitaka and vichara. The more understanding, the more seeing, the attachment which is so deep, I even no word about it. As soon as waking up, I again and again all day. No need to say that when is the I or what moment is the I, because Buddha taught about all kinds of reality, different kinds of citta, different level of each citasikas, and rupa, which can be seen, and that which cannot be seen, and so on, to understand the whole world, no matter what world. The moment of that which arises and falls away is the world of animal, and the world of deva, and the world of human being, and so on. Just all about reality, conditioned to arise and fall away, to the moment of not being able to be this person again, even just one moment, by condition. But there are conditions for whatever arises on and on and on. Different life, birth and death, birth and death, and birth and death, on and on and on. Anicca, that is the Ariya Satya Dhamma. Dukkha, unsatisfactoriness. Because why cling to that which before arising is not there, and then something arises and falls away? Nothing again. What's the use? Wasting time? Or what? More than that, condition akusala to be firmer and firmer and firmer. Imagine the virtues of the Buddha. Not even just the latent tendency of I can be there, stage by stage, to the moment when no conditions for whatever arise again, as that which has been arising and falling again, on and on and on. No more. Ultimately, see, this is the virtues of the Buddha. Depending on how much understanding is there, stage by stage. Imagine when one reality appears through satipatthana, different levels of understanding, very clear. What's the world? Nothing but only one reality is there to be known. Clearer and clearer and clearer. But still, Buddha said, by way of nimitta, because just a moment cannot be known, because he thought about what is there from birth and the moment of seeing, what is there, the process of seeing, and what is there in life. He thought about to understand the truth, that actually the truth is only that, no one and no thing at all. Is that true? Is it firm? To understand, no matter what we learned, must be a reality in life, because we have very firm understanding of Dhamma and Anatta. See, it seems that while we are attending to a characteristic of a reality, at that very moment there is that which is the object of attention. But when time comes, clearer than that, not that object, but the other object just pop up, see, unexpectedly, right now, exactly the same. But Panya is clear cut enough to understand the different moment of one moment to another moment by nimitta. See, how long one lived in the dark world, taking that which is there as something while there's nothing, because it's gone as soon as it has arisen. That's why Buddha taught about citta and cetasika and rupa, to be known that it's right now, taken for something all the time. But the more understanding of citta, cetasika, and rupa, it gradually silently letting go. So very little of that which is now appearing, unknown how little it is, but without just a moment of understanding, it's impossible to have more and keen and sharp understanding, to understand the reality one by nimitta. And this is the world appear. But the truth is that what is there is gone. So what is there? Citta. What is there? Cetasika. What is there? Rupa. See. And not just the word. The reality, the characteristic, the nature, the quality is there appearing to be known. But so very little and very quick. That's why it has to be firm confidence of the intellect understanding, pariyatti, of what is there as Arya Satya. Dukkha Arya Satya, just begin to consider, is it dukkha? It is, but it does not appear. So it's just dukkha in thought. But without right thinking, there cannot be the understanding of the impermanency of the world, of what is there, just that, so very short. But it appears as nothing falls away. So no intention, no particular intention to understand this or that. Anything is taught and it comes to be known, should be known, not that which is not there to be known. That's why Satipatthana, when there is the understanding of the realities, that it's just intellectual understanding, as long as sati does not reach the degree of Satipatthana. So when it's there, the moment of what is there arising, pop up, cannot be known because it's so quickly just arise and falls away on and on and on, different moments, different conditions all the time, until right understanding of the first level of Arya Satya is so keen enough, begin to understand a little more. What is the object of sati is not at will, but there is some will unknowingly at that moment because it doesn't show up. But is there satipatthana, a moment of beginning to understand what is there directly with awareness? The nature of awareness or sati appear to be known. That's why I listen about what is taught by the Buddha in 45 years by way of Vinaya and Dhamma, Vinaya, Sutanta, and Abhidhamma, and so on, all about the truth, to understand the truth, not the word. Otherwise, it's forgotten. Like now, the Dhamma, the Rupa, is just a word. Even the word is forgotten. And understand the subtlety of all Dhammas is the moment of letting go, ignorance. So very gradually, so very subtly, what is there appearing as the truth must be unexpectedly. This is the Buddhanusati, right understanding arises with calmness, not other moment to be calm. But it's calm when there is the understanding of the virtues of the Buddha. Not in word, but the way to respect, study carefully, more carefully, because what appears is so very subtle. Before Satipatthana can begin to get closer to reach the characteristic of a reality by conditions, it takes quite a long time. Not expect when and what will be moment of Satipatthana by conditions. And it appears as by condition as well. Even right now. But Panya is not strong enough. It's not keen enough to understand the characteristic of our reality right now. It needs more and more letting go by understanding a little more, a little more, a little more, the only way. So while one is reading Tipitaka, or while one is talking about the truth, it's there with right understanding. And when it ends, the other object is there instantly by conditions. That's the way it is. That's right. The moment of understanding the truth is so very precious. One more of understanding the truth of what is there is one more moment to get closer to the truth right now. Great patience, Parami.
Thank you, Ajahn. Anh Giao bật camera, camera bên Giao có được hỏi gì không Giao?
So now, as much as we can understand Vittaka, is hearing, considering that after seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, or before seeing, hearing, smelling, touching the body kaya, there must be Vittaka. Each Cetasika arises to perform its function, unknown. If Buddha didn't say anything about it at all, so how could he realize the truth? Buddha to be studied, developed until he became enlightened as Samma Sambuddha. That's why the other person can hear the truth, develop the truth, understand the truth, realize the truth. His great virtues of compassion.
And it's so true, as Jan was saying, that if we just learn the words, the terms, the stories and details without any understanding, all forgotten, the terms, the names, the stories are completely unimportant. Only the understanding of the truth and what appears now is of any real value. So we can learn all kinds of details about jhana, citas, and understanding the difference between vitakka and vichara and so on. But they're just names and details to be forgotten. But what about now? What about just a little understanding of the quality of vitakka now, not the word, but just how there has to be that reality which assists the citta to experience the object, leading the citta to the object now. Just a little understanding on why at moments of seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, it's not necessary, because these are just simple cittas which are vipaka, just requiring 7 cetasikas. But before and afterwards, there needs to be the assistance of vitakka and vichara to be led to the object. So just a little considering, but not to remember the names or the details, but to just understand a little more about what appears now, the seeing now, the hardness that's touched now as a Dhamma, not anything, not anyone at all. And this is the only way that the understanding can develop and be firmer and firmer. So more confidence, less doubt about the only way, the development of understanding of the truth now, not being misled about trying to remember details or memorize qualities of the Buddha or other aspects, but which distract from development of understanding, development of understanding that leads to direct understanding of what appears now. It can arise, it can develop, but not by trying or wishing or memorizing anything.
So, a little more about vitakka, to consider that it's vitakka after or before the 10 cittas. The moment of exact seeing is different from moment of when it's not there, but thinking about it. Is that right? There's no seeing, but there can be thinking about what is seen. The difference between that, which no need for any other conditions, because karma condition it to just arise to see only a moment. Remember now, what is seen only a moment of seeing, conditioned by karma, to experience seeing by the function of seeing. But before that or after that, we can think about what is seen. How come with a vitakka, the reality which touch the object? Phassa, just contact. So very, 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 how can you say, subtle or slight. But vitakka is that touch it. So it appears in mind or in the other moments, not the moment of seeing. Begin to understand life or each moment closer. When seeing is there, by conditions, by karma, it has to arise with phassa and other cetasikas. No need for vitakka because it appears. But when it does not appear and think about it, see, and it's more fine or very subtle because the moment before seeing, it needs phassa, and vitakka. But the moment of seeing, no need at all. It's there by karma just to condition a moment of seeing. And the great virtues of the Buddha realize the truth of each very, very subtle moment in split seconds. That's why learn to understand that the life goes on from moment to moment, very miraculous. Because how come the moment without vitaka, it's there seeing, so that seeing is different from the other moment. Just experience the object directly and clearly by its function. But the other moment does not see. That's why vitaka is there before seeing, and vitaka is there after seeing. Begin to understand how subtle realities are covered up from moment to moment, eons and eons and eons ago. And the enlightenment of the Buddha realized the truth. No one can imagine his virtues of understanding at all, beyond anyone. So even what he said, it takes quite a long time to study, to remember, to get closer, to understand the truth right now. This is the Buddhanusati. When Panya understands the great virtues of the Buddha, is it calm? How calm to have opportunity to understand the very deep and subtle truth of each split-second moment. No doubt about Buddhanusati. And when one says jhana, what does it mean? Not this level at all. It has to be much more calmness, conditioned by understanding, seeing the danger of akusala. Otherwise, if there is clinging, attachment, wishing to be calm, it cannot be calm. So even just one word, calmness, has to know what is it. It's not chitta, it is jesika, which is not akusala jesika. Learn little by little about each moment of kusala. There must be jesika, which is tranquility or calmness. Chitta pasati and kaya pasati. See, who knows without the teachings of the Buddha? So, paying respect to his great wisdom, his great virtue, his great compassion, not just paying respect in the manners of body or speech, that's all, but the understanding the reality is the moment of respecting to the great virtues of the Buddha. And what are there? Vitaka must be there. Why? Only 10 chitta doesn't have vitaka arising. Understanding can be firm, no need to try to memorize at all. Little by little, it let go the idea of self. But it takes quite a long time, years and years, 100,000, uncountable years to clean up the dirtiness of akusala until wrong understanding, taking what is there as something permanent, can never arise again. And this is the beginning to understand the deep truth. So is there vitaka now? Intellectually, it arises before seeing and after seeing all the time. It does not arise only with seeing, just a moment of seeing. No need for vitaka. It is conditioned by karma to see that object at that very moment. But when there's no seeing, and thinking about seeing is different from seeing, it needs vitaka. When it's not seeing, it needs vitaka. When it's not hearing, there must be vitaka, touch the object. That there must be how many cetasikas arising with each different moment of citta. Learn little by little about why and how that can be understood, little by little, to condition the letting go, the clinging to vitaka or to whatever is there. Just a reality. Each moment is different by conditions. Nothing can be done, no one at all, because it's there already, arising and falling away. No time, no way to do anything. A little bit understanding about vitaka, and learn a little more about vitaka when kusala is developed on and on, more and more, to the degree of jhana.
Thank you. And I'm thinking about this, although it's quite clear that when the understanding develops about the realities, there's more understanding about the Buddha's virtues or the Dhamma's virtues. But somehow it overlaps between, the virtues of the Buddha, the virtues of the Dhamma, and the virtues of the Sangha. So I think it'd be helpful if you can clarify a little more of this matter. Thank you.
Well, yes, in the sense that when there is more understanding of dhammas, the more understanding there is of dhammas, the more understanding there is of the virtues of the Buddha. Because how can the wisdom of the Buddha be understood if there's not a little understanding of what wisdom is? And the greater the wisdom, the greater the appreciation of the Buddha's qualities, the appreciation of the qualities by Sariputta is different from the appreciation of the qualities of the Buddha by Sotapanna, and the appreciation of the qualities of the Sotapanna, of the qualities of the Buddha by Sotapanna, is different from the appreciation of the qualities by those who just beginning to develop understanding. So even the quality of compassion, if there's no understanding of what compassion is, if feeling sorry and sad when one's friend is sick or in hospital or dying, if that is taken for compassion, how can there be any appreciation of the quality of compassion in others, let alone the appreciation of the great compassion of the Buddha to teach the Dhamma? So the more understanding of Dhammas, the more appreciation of the qualities, and the more understanding of Dhammas, the more respect and appreciation there is for those who developed so much understanding as to become fully enlightened and thereby share the Dhamma that we are able to benefit from today. Without the work and the understanding of the Sangha, all the followers of the Buddha, we wouldn't be having this discussion at all. So when one appreciates how deep and subtle the Dhamma is and how gradual the path is and how few people have any interest to understand it, it's so amazing that there could be the development to such a degree for the followers to really understand directly what the Buddha was talking about. So I think it all comes from the understanding of the realities, not just the words, the meanings, the terms, but by directly understanding the truths that the Buddha taught.
And Tambak, you mentioned overlap. Were you referring to overlap between the recollection of the Buddha and the recollection of the Dhamma and then the Sangha? Could you explain a bit more?
Yes, I think it's because when we think about the terms, that are used to describe the different virtues, they're different. But when we think about, when there's more understanding, and at the moment of understanding, there is the gratitude or the appreciation of the virtue. It's kind of not clear whether it is the virtues of the Buddha or the virtues of the Dhamma or the virtues of the Sangha. So that's why I was using the word overlap.
Well, I think it's clear that it depends what is the object of the consideration, whether it's the Buddha, the person known as the Buddha, or the teaching known as the Dhamma, or that collection of enlightened individuals known as the Sangha. So in that respect, it's clear it's one or the other, but it's possible that there are some thoughts, some moments of thinking where it's not clear in one's mind what is the object of the consideration.
And sorry, bây giờ có ai dịch Bắc Trôn nói không ạ? Please go on. I was just checking whether anyone was translating what you were saying.
Right. And so I think the apparent overlap is just that it's not clear in what is the object of one's own consideration at that time. But that's not an overlap in the qualities. That's just a slight lack of definition in one's way of thinking.
Thank you, John.
And I join.
Yes, please go ahead, Sal.
Yeah. So
We're both listening.
as I understand it, so as you said, the keys are all the understanding. But it's made me confused because as I think only understanding know that they understanding or not. Only understanding know that they understanding or not. So sometimes we think that we understand correct, but just understand can check is correct or not. So, and the problem is sometimes you and Ajahn Church remind us about the not just repeating the words we are already heard. So can I say about what I understand? So as I understand that Ajahn and the teacher remind us is always consider different aspect of reality, but it's right or wrong. We cannot make sure that it's right or wrong, because as I understanding the level of Sotabana can be sure that it's right thing or wrong thing. So and Ajahn and the teacher, they elaborate a little bit on this issue. Thank you.
So different moments, like you say, when there is understanding, understanding knows what is true, what is right, even if it's just a little understanding. But at that moment of understanding, no doubt, no concern about whether it's right or wrong or this way or that way at that moment. But because the understanding is not firm enough, then at other moments, moments of doubt, moments of confusion, like you say, thinking that one should consider different aspects or should know right or wrong, the I comes in, the I interferes. I should know if it's right or wrong, or I should consider whether this is understanding or not. So it has to be like this, different dhammas, moments of understanding, moments of ignorance, moments of wrong view. But what about now? What about seeing now? Is there understanding? It's just seeing which sees. No one sees. This is the world. And the seeing is different from what is seen. There can be more and more understanding that this is true. This is the world at this very moment. And at that moment of understanding, no thought about is it right or wrong, or should I wait until Sotapanna or anything else. These are all distractions from just beginning to understand what is true now. No doubt at all at the moments of understanding.
And when we would like to share something we think is good for other people, but we're not sure that right or wrong. So how to consider?
So what is true now? Is it true now that it's just hearing which hears sound? It doesn't hear Zhao or Ajahn or anyone. It's just sound, just the world of sound. So the more understanding, the more confidence there is until it's really firm. No doubt that it's only sound that's heard, but it has to develop. And then when sharing with others, no question, no doubt that actually it's true that the world is just the hearing of sound for a moment. At that moment, no thinking, no doubt, no other, no me. It's just hearing. So understanding develops, confidence develops, and then naturally what is true is shared correctly. But
Yes.
if we're just lost in the story about the Vitakka and Jhana cheetahs, then the details can get mixed up and it's not helping the other, especially if they don't even understand what is the reality at this moment at all. So I think when helping others, coming back to now, what can be known now is what is most precious, what needs to be heard, what needs to be considered again and again.
Yes.
Otherwise, we dream about all the fantasy worlds and just forget about the true world now.
just a bit more. So when I explain something, I said that yesterday or a few weeks ago, I heard from a child from Kunsara said about this. What I just said in the past, yesterday or long times ago, I remember and I used to explain. Can you help me to say a little bit more about this case?
Sorry, I'm not sure quite what the meaning is because of Sanya.
Because we said about the reality at this moment, but when I use some word from you and from Ajahn long times ago, and I repeat again. So I think it's not now.
So
But
actually, it's. I just finish a moment. But we're talking about the truth as taught by the Buddha. It's actually not Ajahn's word or my word or anyone's word. What is true is what the Buddha taught. So when he taught about seeing now, what is seen now, it's still true, no matter it was said 2,500 years ago or yesterday. The truth is the truth. And Sanya marks and remembers what is true. And when there's understanding, it accumulates, it develops. So this is why there's wise reflection now on what was said before, because there's appreciation that it's the truth to be known now, and that can be shared with others. Actually, we're all just sharing what the Buddha taught. Go ahead, Jim.
So the key is now and the reality at this moment. Understand on this. Thank you, Kunsara.
Always back to now.
Because sometimes I confuse because when you and Ajahn said about not just repeat the word we heard. So I think I always consider on it, and I like to hear this.
Right.
Not just the word. So it's
Right.
very deep and very subtle. And
Exactly.
that's why I asked it.
And that's why the understanding is not just the words or repeating the words. Like, it doesn't matter what we call seeing now, but there is that reality that sees what is visible for an instant and then gone, and what is visible, no matter what it's called. It's not the person, it's not the details, it's just what is visible for an instant and then gone. So it can be expressed in our own words, in our own way, but it has to come back to the understanding of the truth. I think Jonathan was about to say something.
And not urgent. Be patient, not urgent. Little by little. Thank you. Jonathan, please.
Well, I think you were asking about repeating something you've heard someone else say about the Dhamma. And that repeating, as Sarah mentioned, can be with kusala or akusala, or with understanding or without understanding. So there isn't any rule about it. We repeat things that we've read that the Buddha said so many years ago, so many thousand years ago. And the reason we repeat it is because it made an impression on us at the time we first came across it. So if there's an opportunity, or if it's appropriate, we may mention it. But it will depend on one's level of understanding, to what extent it is useful for the other person. But there's no rule here that we should or shouldn't mention something that we heard someone say in the past.
And
it's not possible to say it's good or not good.
And I always interested about the Ajahn said, just little, not too urgent, be patient, courage with our very little understanding. And why I interested on this, because why we have a very little understanding, how can we share this with the benefit to other people without wrong for
But
information to them?
we are talking to people all the time without understanding. So obviously, if we have only a little understanding, that's better than no understanding, isn't it? Most of what we say is totally without any
Yes,
understanding
thank
whatsoever.
you. Yes, thank you. Little better than without anything.
And the main point is it's not my little understanding or my beginning of understanding. It's just a Dhamma. And when one considers the welfare of others at those moments of kindness or metta or thinking of the other's benefit, one doesn't think about oneself, oh, my little understanding or my limited ability, because one's concerned to just help the other as best one can at the time and then gone.
Yeah, thank you.
So less thinking of oneself, less taking the understanding for mine is more helpful, I think.
Yeah. Many time to hear about you,
And
but not enough, never enough. Thank you.
and like you say, the patience, the courage, all these qualities have to develop together. Usually I never think about, oh, I have too little or this or that, or because I don't think it's helpful at all. Just let the understanding develop very naturally and share if there are opportunities, and if they're not, there are not. No need to think too much about the story of I and my little understanding.
Yes, it's so helpful to me. Thank you, Sarah.
We don't have much time left. Maybe it's time for Ajahn to say a few words on this topic. Ajahn, please.
The word that Buddha taught about the truth of life can be learned, is that right? Little by little to understand how come to be so true by the enlightened one. Otherwise, who knows how many Chetasika and Chitta right now, and they are not permanent at all. It's the world, like the breaking world all the time. No one there. Just that which its condition arising together and fall away instantly. It's so true. But as long as it's not directly experienced, how can there be the understanding of no one at all? Because each moment does not appear as it is. That's why learn to understand as much as one can understand. For example, Vitaka. See, not just one level or one stage of that quality. It develops on and on to the degree that it is the Samma Sankappa of the path and so on. But it's a reality, not the other reality. So, without the teachings of the Enlightened One, without careful considering all around about just one reality, how can it be known that Vitaka is that and Vichara is that, and when it can be just only Vitaka without Vichara and so on? Just to understand that they are all dukkha, anicca, anatta. See, no matter what, all conditioned realities arise and fall away, never to arise again. Ignorance cling to that as something permanent. just want it again and again. No understanding of the truth that no matter even wishing or wanting is not there at all the time. It's just one moment of what is there, conditioned. That's all. That's why live to understand the truth. Live to understand that actually what goes on from moment to moment, years and years ago, just what in a moment, never be two. Once it has risen and fallen away, never to arise again. So why does one cling to it so much? Because it can never arise again. Little by little, right understanding develops to let go wrong understanding and ignorance, so the reality can appear to the right understanding which has developed on and on to different levels of understanding the truth. Just live to understand Dhamma. Is that right? As much as it's the best moment in life. Any moment of understanding, so very precious. Even one moment, without it, how can it build up, developed on and on to realize the truth, stage by stage? So be truthful to the truth. Understanding right now is intellectual understanding about the truth. And when there is a little more understanding, letting go, ignorance and attachment, which covers up the truth, by hearing again, considering, until all appears as by conditions. Because we learn from the very beginning, all dhammas are conditioned. Otherwise, nothing can arise at all. It is so true, stage by stage, little by little, to be different level of understanding, up to the moment of realizing the truth. No doubt about it. Is there other way? Is it so precious? Just understand the truth. Nothing to be done. When there is a moment of trying to do, what is that? Attachment again, ignorance again, thinking that one can do or it can be done. It can be done. It's not true. Have more confidence of the truth, and that is Adhidana Parami, and understand the virtues of all kinds of kusala with right understanding as foundation for the development of kusala, realizing that the moment of akusala, even just doubt, cannot understand the truth. But no need to try to have no doubt. Doubt is there to be known as it's not me or anyone, it's just a reality. Is that right? Understand deeper and deeper of a reality in all aspects, to let go ignorance or attachment to know it more. For example, right now, when we have heard about Vitaka, does anyone want to experience it? Or it's there, unknown like other Chitasikas. Manasikara, is it known? Feeling, is it known? Memory, is it known? Even they are there, but depend on understanding to condition moment of not forgetting about the truth that has been heard by conditions again. It's kind of relief, calm, or attachment. Begin to understand the difference. And be true to the truth. So now be true to the time. It's time to say สวัสดีค่ะ
Swadikap, Dhammajan, Swadikap. Thank you very much, John.
Swadika, thank you so much, Ajahn. And thank you, John and Sarah.
Hang and Metta.
Metta and hung together.